I'm gonna give you two numbers, just two. Hold on to them. 92 and 69. 92 is how long you're expected to live if you're born in Back Bay. 69 is how long you're expected to live if you're born in Roxbury. 23 years, gone. Not because of genetics or choices, but because of a zip code, because of 2 miles that separate us. The Boston Public Health Commission publishes data, not radicals or activists, the city's own public health commission. And here's what they don't put in the pamphlets. 20 years ago, that same gap was 33 years. And we celebrate like closing the gap to 23 is progress. Like shaving a decade off of a death sentence is a victory. And I needed to know why I'm still serving 20 years off my life. So I started collecting the receipts, which took me on a journey where I learned about the importance of trees in Roxbury. Yes, trees. Because what I found in those trees was the same thing hiding in that 23-year gap. A city that commits its violence in decimals. 23 years, 2 miles, that is not a health disparity, that is a verdict. But before I get into the trees, I need you to understand what's in the air. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, ran a tool called DJ Screen. It maps all environmental justice concerns in the country: respiratory hazards, cancer risks, and proximity to hazardous waste. It measures all of it. In Roxbury, scores in the 90th percentile for each of those metrics. Let me translate that for you. Currently, Roxbury sits in the top 10% of all environmental justice concerns in the entire United States of America. Not just Massachusetts, the entire country. We're competing with Cancer Alley in Louisiana. We're in the same conversations as communities built on top of refineries. And 2 miles away in the Back Bay, which registers, and I need you to hear this, no pressing environmental justice concerns at all. Zero. Same city, same mayor, same budget, same sky, but not the same air. The Boston Public Health Commission also documented that asthma rates in Roxbury are some of the highest in the city. And right now, in Dudley, there is a graveyard. And in that graveyard are children. Children who died from breathing in a neighborhood where the daily air quality index regularly crosses into the 50s every single day. And only 2 miles away in the Back Bay, where the brownstones are beautiful and the air is clean, nobody's child is in that graveyard. When the air is a weapon, shade is a shield. So I counted the trees. I partnered with a nonprofit organization that's been doing environmental justice work in Boston for decades. And just like a good data scientist, I measured all of it. All 3,832 trees, 128 species, across a neighborhood of 59,000 people spread across 3 square miles. That's 1 tree for every 15 residents. Our research recommends 1 tree for every 5. We're not close. We're not even half. Our community is starving. Those same trees sequester roughly 20 tons of CO2 annually. Now that might seem significant until you realize that that's the annual emissions of 2 American households. 2 out of 59,000 people. But carbon is only 1 page of this ledger, because those trees also prevent millions of gallons of stormwater runoff annually. Water that doesn't flood your basements, overwhelm our sewer systems, or carry toxins into our waterways. While Boston saves millions of dollars on stormwater fees, our trees are doing that labor for free. The city also spends $250 million on public health, and trees are known to reduce asthma rates by up to 1/3. And in a neighborhood where children are dying from asthma, and the EPA flags us in the 90th percentile for respiratory hazards, Our trees are doing healthcare now. They're just not on anyone's budget. This is what I call the money tree paradox. We were treating a tree like a carbon machine. One input, one output, measure the CO2, close the spreadsheet. But a tree isn't a machine, it's infrastructure. Think about how we value a highway. We don't just count the cars that use it, we count the economic activity it enables, the freight it moves, the time it saves, the communities it connects. We value it comprehensively because we understand it's doing many things at once, just like trees. Did you know that urban forest expansion can increase property values on an average of 7%? Or that trees also reduce flooding, energy costs, and hospital visits every single year? So it's safe to assume that a healthy tree canopy is a viable economic engine by every measurable standard. And yet, the communities with the worst air quality, the highest cancer rates, and the most heat deaths are the communities with the fewest trees. They look like Mattapan. They look like Dorchester. They look like Roxbury. And unfortunately, they look like us. That's the paradox. The intervention that would make Black communities wealthier and healthier is systematically withheld from the communities that need it most. Not by budget or by priority, but by who decides where the shade falls. You want to talk about reparations? Let's start with the canopy. Every square foot of shade planted in the Back Bay and withheld from Roxbury is a receipt, a ledger entry, a debt with compound interest measured in lung capacity and life expectancy. 92 years in Back Bay, 69 in Roxbury, and the EPA flags us in the top 10% of danger zones in the entire country. Let me connect those dots because the city won't do it for you. Environmental neglect is economic violence with a longer fuse. Now, Boston has pledged carbon neutrality by 2050, and I asked the same question my Medium article asks: can we plant our way there? No. The math just doesn't work. I ran the numbers for 6 months, and I'm telling you plainly no. But here's what the math did show. Roxbury needs approximately 13,000 trees in order to reach the recommended urban canopy. And if we planted them strategically in the right places with the right species and the right amount of love and care, those same trees would generate $33 million in net economic value. Not carbon credits some corporation trades on a spreadsheet, real value. Stormwater savings, energy cost reduction, hospital bills completely avoided, property value increases that would stay in the neighborhood if we structured it right. So here's the blueprint. 4 moves. 1, redefine what a tree is worth. Stop measuring by the tons of carbon sequestered. Start measuring by the number of asthma attacks prevented, by degrees cooled on the hottest day of the year, by years added back to a life where the EPA says the air is killing you. Carbon is the wrong metric. Resilience is the right one. 2, protect the ecosystem. 70% native species minimum for all new plantings. An ornamental pear tree that dies in 8 years is a photo op. A native red oak that lives until 200 is infrastructure. 3, budget for the life of the tree. Our analysis assumes a 2% mortality rate, and that's only possible with proper care. So anytime you see a tree press conference without a 30-year maintenance commitment, it's just a lie with good lighting. 4, think regionally. No single neighborhood can plan its way to carbon neutrality. Frederick Law Olmsted, the designer of Central Park, drew up a plan called the Emerald Necklace. 7 miles of parks and tree-lined parkways stitched through Boston like a jewel on a string. The Finns, Jamaica Pond, the Arboretum, Franklin Park. It was supposed to keep going, but that last stretch was never built. The necklace was left unclasped, and the neighborhood it was supposed to go through was ours. So when I say Roxbury's trees connect to Dorchester's trees, which connect to the Emerald Necklace, I mean something specific. We need to repair the missing link. Let's close the class that Olmsted drew 150 years ago and the city never finished. The revolution isn't a single neighborhood. The revolution is a network. I'm a fourth-generation Roxbury resident. My family has been on this soil for over 100 years. And I spent 6 months studying something my grandmother already knew. She knew that the old oak in the corner kept the block cool in August. She knew that the park with the biggest trees in it were where the kids could breathe. She knew that a neighborhood with green in it felt different, felt owned in a way that concrete never could. I just proved it with the math, which, depending on the audience, is either more or less convincing. I partnered with a nonprofit organization which didn't need my algorithms to know that trees mattered. They needed the data for the people holding the budgets so they wouldn't look away. The next time someone says Roxbury scores in the 90th percentile for cancer risk, the next sentence isn't silence, it's a line item. Can Boston plan its way to carbon neutrality? No. Should we plant them anyway? Absolutely. Because those 13,000 trees won't eliminate emissions, but they will create $33 million in value. They will cool the streets where heat is a weapon. They will clean the air that the EPA has labeled as toxic. They will hold water in soil that's been paved over for generations. And they will do it in a neighborhood where the life expectancy gap isn't a statistic, it's a death sentence. The revolution doesn't always look like a fist in the air. Sometimes it looks like a shovel in the ground. Other times, it's a community organizer and a data scientist proving that the shade belongs to us too. 2 miles between Back Bay and Roxbury, 23 years between their lives and ours. And somewhere in that gap are 13,000 trees waiting to be planted. I came here today to tell you that the money does grow on trees. It always has. The question was never whether the trees had value. The question was whether we did. Thank you.